Hey guys, Miss Kelgard here. Today we're going to work on lesson 13, expressions with exponents. More time with exponents. You guys did a really great job with the first lesson of exponents. I know you guys are going to continue doing an awesome job. So to get started, get out your math workbook or your notebook if you don't have that workbook, and your pencil, and then go to joinmyquiz.com and enter code or pause this video and enter code 1642463. When you're done, come back to this video, press play, and we'll go over one of those tricky questions. All right. So this question was, select all expressions that are equal to 2x plus 2 plus x plus 3 plus 2x. This seems really tricky, but it's actually not as hard as it looks. What they wanted you to do here was combine like terms. Okay, so that means combine like terms is a fancy way of saying put the things that are similar together. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is all the things that have an x. And so I have 2x plus x plus 2x. 2x plus x is 3x, plus another 2x is going to be equal to 5x. Okay, now I'm going to look at that other part. I have a 2 and a 3. I'm going to add those together. 2 plus 3, and I'll get 5. So I'm left with my new expression is 5x plus 5. So it's that choice here. Okay, there's actually another because it's a select all. So you definitely have to make sure you're looking at all of them. Let's evaluate each one, see if it would match. Now 5x to the 5th would be like this. It would be 5 times x times x times x times x times x. That's really different than what's happening in our expression. That one doesn't make sense. This one is that tricky one, okay? So here, they're showing you 5 times the quantity x plus 1. And this is probably where a lot of you guys got stumped. If I drew a diagram, it would look like this. 5 times x plus 1, and I would get 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 1 is 5, and I would get 5x plus 5. That's equivalent to what we found before, so that one's also true. This one's not true. There's no k's in the equation, but it would look like 5 plus k times k times k times k times k. Just to see if you're paying attention, huh? All right, well, go ahead and jot down anything you want from this question. When you're done, press play and we'll move on. All right. Okay, so let's go over that exit ticket. It said 3 to the 5th is equal to 243. So 3 to the 5th is equal to 243. Another way of writing 3 to the 5th would be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. 5 3's multiplied by each other. Okay, and that's equal to 243. Use this fact to show how to evaluate 3 to the 6th. Now, we learned that 3 to the 6th is equal to 3 to the 5th times one more 3, like 3 to the 1st. We could add those together. So I would take those 5 3's, or 243, and multiply it by one more 3. If I think about it as like I'm doing 3 or 6 3's, 4, 5, 6, I know that these 5 3's here are the same as 243, so then I'm just going to multiply it by that last 3. I wouldn't expect you to do this mentally, but definitely it's a lot faster than multiplying all 6 3's. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. Carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is 7. So we'd get 729 there as our final answer. Go ahead and jot down anything you want from here. When you're done, press play. We'll move on. Okay. Oops. Gotta erase. Okay. So today we're using the meaning of exponents to decide if equations are true. Your goals for today are to decide if expressions with exponents are equal by evaluating the expressions or by understanding what exponents mean. Let's go ahead and do this which one doesn't belong. Remember when we do which one doesn't belong, there's a reason that all of them don't belong. I want you to try and find as many reasons as you can why they don't belong, and then I'll explain what you might have thought. So decide which one you think doesn't belong. and come up with a reason. As a challenge, you could try and come up with a reason for each one of them why they don't belong. All right, so let's go ahead and look at this first one here, the 4 2s. So, someone might say this one doesn't belong because it's the only one that shows the same number being multiplied again and again. It's the only one that shows like repeated multiplication written out. It's the only one with 4 factors. Okay, you might say that the number 2 doesn't belong because it's just like a number. There's no operation happening there. Some people might say that 2 to the 4th doesn't belong because it's the only one using an exponent. And somebody might say that this one doesn't belong. 4 times 2 doesn't belong because 4 times 2 is 8, not 16, and all the other ones would be 16. Okay? And in case you didn't notice, this is actually the same as 2 to the 4th. And both 2 to the 4th and 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 are equal to 16. So that's like kind of a common link there. Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and jump in. If you have that workbook, go ahead and turn to 13.2. Is 4 squared equal to 2 to the 3rd true? Go ahead and decide an answer for yourself. Okay. So if I was looking at 4 squared, I'd be looking at 4 times 4. And I know that 4 times 4 is 16. Okay. And is that equal to 2 to the 3rd? Let's see. 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 2 is 8. This is not true. And maybe you remembered from our last problem that 2 to the 4th is 16. So maybe we could say 4 squared is equal to 2 to the 4th. That would be true. Okay. So decide if each one of these is true or false and explain how you know. I want you to pause the video and work on all of these. You can work in your workbook if you have it. When you're done, press play and we'll go over it. All right. So let's start off at the top there. Is my mouse moving? There we go. Okay. So 2 to the 4th is equal to 2 times 4. 2 to the 4th is the same as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. And is that equal to 2 to the 4th? Or 2 times 4, sorry. So 2 times 2 is the same as 4. 2 times 2 is the same as 4. 4 times 4 does not equal 2 times 4. This one is false. All right, let's go ahead and switch to another color for the next one. Is 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 equal 3 to the 5th? No, I can see right away this one's false because if it was multiplication, they would be true, but it's addition, so they're not true. It's not true. 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 would be equal to 3 to the 5th, and that would be a really big number. This is not going to be true. All right, let's go ahead and switch colors. Okay, 5 to the 3rd is equal to 5 times 5 times 5. Yep, that's what that means. That's true. Okay, 2 to the 3rd is equal to 3 to the 2nd. 2 to the 3rd would be equal to 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. Okay. 3 squared, 3 times 3 is 9. That is not true. That's false. Okay. Let's go ahead and move on. I'm looking at number 5, 16 to the 1st. That just means 16, 1/16. Okay, so we don't have to multiply by anything. Is equal to 8 squared, which means 8 times 8. And this probably fooled a lot of you guys, okay, if I'm being honest. Because a lot of you guys probably thought of 8 times 2 here, but it's actually 8 times 8. And we know that 8 times 8 is 64, so that's not equal to 16, so this one is also false. Okay. Now this one down here was probably also tricky. A half times a half times a half times a half is equal to 4 times a half. Now, probably some of us thought of like 4 groups of a half, and we're like, yeah, that looks true, but it's not the same thing. This would be a half to the 4th power. And if I multiplied a half times a half, or I multiply straight across, 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4, Okay, and then I have another half times a half, which is another 1/4. So I have 1/4 times 1/4, straight across, 1 times 1, and 4 times 4 is 16. So I'd be left with 1/16. All right, and then for this side, 4 times a half, I'd have 4/2, and this would end up being equal to 2. And we know that 1/16 is not the same as 2. So this one's also false. All right. Okay. Half to the 4th power, that's actually what we just looked at right here. 4 groups of a half, meaning that's 1/16 is equal to 1/8. Well, no, that's not true because we would have 1/16, and that's not equal to 1/8. So that's also false. Okay. And then finally down here, I keep covering it up with my pen there. I have 8 squared is equal to 4 to the 3rd. 8 squared, remember, is 64 because it's 8 times 8. And then for 4 to the 3rd, it'd be 4 times 4 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 16 times 4. 6 times 4 is 24. Carry the 2. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 2 is 6. So I'd get 64. So that is true. Ah! Didn't let me finish right then. Okay, so go ahead and pause here and jot down anything that you want to. When you're ready, press play. We'll move on. All right. So let's move on to what's your reason. If you have that workbook, you're turning to activity 13.3. All right, so you should expect to spend 10 minutes on this. In each list, and the list is like down this way, you're finding expressions that are equivalent to each other, and you should be able to explain how you know they're equivalent. Okay, I know we don't have partners, so a lot of this doesn't apply. And there might be more than 2, so check every option. Okay, pause the video here, work on this. You should take about 10 minutes, so work as best you can to answer all these questions on your own in the 10 minutes. When you're ready, press play. We'll go on. We'll go over it. All right. If you didn't have a chance to do it yet, really pause and actually do the work. Okay, so let's look at number 1. We have 5 times 5, and that's 25, right? Okay, for 2 to the 5th, it would be, oops, there we go. That would be the same as 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, and that would not be 25. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16, times 2 is 32. Definitely not the same. 5 squared, that's the same as 5 times 5, right? So I can use both those. 2 times 5, that would be 10, right? And I don't have to do this for every one once I know how those exponents work, if I'm really comfortable with that. All right, so let's go to number 2. 4 to the 3rd, remember that's the same as 4 times 4 times 4. It's not the same as adding 4s, and it's not the same as 3 to the 4th. 3 to the 4th would be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, right? And that's not going to be the same. All right. Number 3, 6 plus 6 plus 6. That would be the same as 3 times 6, 3 groups of 6, okay? 6 to the 3rd would be 6 times 6 times 6, and 3 to the 6th would be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 4, 5, 6. So as you can see, it would be pretty different from each other. Okay. 11 to the 5th would be 5 11s multiplied by each other, so I see those right there. Oops, cross that a little bit. 11 times 5 would be 55. That's pretty different from both of those. And 5 to the 11th power would be 11 5s multiplied by each other, so neither one of those match. All right. Sorry, my dog was doing something weird. Okay, so I have 3 groups. Oh, sorry, not 3 groups. I have 1/5 being multiplied by itself 3 times, repeat addition 3, or multiplication 3 times. That's the same as 1/5 to the 3rd. It would not be the same as 1/15 because 5 times 5 is 25, not 15. That mistake might come if you were confused about multiplying the 3 by 5. It actually is also the same as 125 because 5 times 5 is 25, and 25 times 5 is 125. All right, and finally, we have 5/3 squared. Okay, so that would look like 5/3 times 5/3, and I would end up with 25/9 there. For the 3/5 squared, that would be 3/5 times 3/5. That would not be the same. 10/6 would also not be the same as either one of those, but 25/9 would be the same there. So go ahead and pause here, jot down anything you want. When you're ready, press play. We'll move on. All right. So your goals for today were to decide if the expressions with exponents are equal by evaluating the expressions or by understanding what the exponents mean. We're going to move into that exit ticket. Okay, so this is really similar to that genie problem that we did in last Thursday's lesson. Andre and Elena knew that after 28 days, they would have 2 of the 28th coins, but they wanted to find out how many coins that actually is. Andre wrote 2 to the 28th, which is equal to 2 times 28, which is equal to 56. Elena said, no, exponents mean repeated multiplication. It should be 28 times 28, which works out to be 784. Do you agree with either of them? Explain your reasoning. So you can say you agree with Andre, you agree with Elena, or you agree with neither of them, okay? And then explain how you know. Do you have to solve to the 28th? No, I want you to see, do you agree with Andre, Elena, or neither of them? And explain why you think that, okay? So when you're ready, you can go over to your exit ticket, click the plus sign to get a new slide. Go ahead and type your name in this box here. And when you're done, you can type your explanation or you can take a picture of your work using the camera there. All right, so I'll go ahead and leave this problem up so you can finish solving. And I hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Okay, bye.